Okay, this is lecture 5, which is about building a site using Semantic X, HTML and CSS. This lecture, which has been cut into parts, really requires you to have done the previous 2 lectures on CSS. So there is an assumption here that you know a bit about breaking down an HTML document into its logical component parts and marking it up semantically, and making sure that you put your CSS design in a separate style sheet. Now the way that we're going to do that here is a bit more complicated. It moves on, but again, as I said, it does require you to have done the previous 2 lab exercises. So this lecture is all about redesigning the Faculty of Business and Law website. Now this is what it used to look like about 2 years ago, and if we have a look at it, it looks fine. You know, it's got the standard 3-column layout, so there's a banner going across the top which has the Faculty of Business and Law logo inside it, and then there's a menu down the left hand side, and you can see that's broken into 2 parts. Major column in the middle, which contains a sort of welcome narrative, and then there's a sort of latest news bit underneath that, which is a table, and then a column on the right which is contains a little form, a little search field, and some badges that indicate the accreditation that the Faculty of Business has actually got. So that's fine, and it looks like a perfectly reasonable design. Let's have a look at the actual markup that's underlying that website. So we're going to go through and have a look and see what's in there. So this is the actual current markup from that page, and you can see it's quite messy. Now, this has actually been created by hand. Straight away, you can see it's almost unreadable in that lots and lots of content in here. There's obviously, if you look, you can see style 9, newsline, style 23, style 29, lots and lots of styles. So this is style that's actually embedded inside the original HTML file. We know that's not such a good idea. This is the next bit. If we just move down the document, more styles. You're not CSS experts just yet, but looking at this, I can tell you that it's not very well organised. We've got poor name choices, not really using some of the abilities of CSS that are available, lots and lots of duplicated paddings. It's just not very clear. So that's in the head. Let's have a look at the actual body of this document then. Well, here's the bit of HTML that generates the head. So that's the piece that goes, the banner rather, that goes across the top of the web page. Now, in fact, this is just an image. And if you look right in the middle of this content, you can just about make out image source equals images slash logo, etc., etc., etc. So that's the line, that's the little bit of HTML there that's producing this image. But then if you look around it, you can see we seem to have got loads and loads of unnecessary divs. Div id equals banner, div id equals content, div id equals header, and that div id equals header doesn't seem to have anything inside it because it closes a div straight away after that. And then div id equals container. Now we may not have done divs yet, but there's loads and loads of markup here which just isn't really needed. So let's have a look at the left column. This is menu basically. So here it is. Now a menu item like this is basically a series of hyperlinks, and if you look inside here you should just be able to sort of make out lots of anchors. A href equals, A href equals, repeated over and over again. And obviously it's a very long list, but once again we've got lots and lots of style information in there. Div id equals this, div id equals that, div id equals left column, and poor layout, it's unreadable, again a real mess. So let's have a look at the middle column. Now the middle column's obviously got 2 parts. There's the top part, which contains a sort of welcome narrative about the Faculty of Business website. Now if we were to style this in HTML ourselves, then we would probably think, okay, that's a heading and 2 paragraphs. Very simple, very straightforward, but when we look at the actual markup for this, we can see really messy. You've got span classes, p style equals font family, so there's an embedded style information there. And then we've got all these line breaks that have been inserted. Break, break, our aim is to provide a modern, stimulating business education, blah, 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 etc. Break, close paragraph, break. If our semantic markup was correct, we wouldn't need all those breaks, because all we would have is a heading, maybe an H1, we'll see when we get onto that in a minute, and 2 paragraphs, and that's it. And then we use the CSS to style the spacing around those paragraphs. So again, it's far too complicated. Now the bottom bit is a table, and again, it's unreadable. I mean, I'm not even going to bother to begin working my way through this. It's just far too much embedded style information in there. To sum up, it should be a very simple table with 1, 2, 3, perhaps 3 columns, maybe 4. We'll see when we style it. Over on the right hand side, there's this search field and these badges, these sort of marketing badges. So let's have a look at these. Well, again, lots and lots of breaks, lots of paragraphs, style embedded. It's a mess. Okay, and then right down the bottom, you can see there's a single line that says copyright Kingston University. So that's our footer. And let's have a quick look at that. There we are. Again, it's the same plot as we've seen in the other parts. We've got div class equals content center bottom, etc, etc. Very messy. All we should really have is one icon, or maybe a picture, the little copyright symbol, and 4 links, maybe 3 links. Okay. So here are the steps that we would follow to actually convert a pre-existing website to a site that uses semantic HTML and cascading style sheets. And you can see that there are 6 steps. So what we're going to try and do here is we're going to do the first 2 steps. So we're going to take that HTML and we're going to remove all the style information, all the excess names, all the divs, all the spans, all the stuff that we don't need. And all we're going to be left with is the semantic HTML. So that's the markup that indicates the paragraphs and the headings and the actual content of the document. So there shouldn't be any design elements in here at all. Okay, so we're just going to focus on those 2. So, very straightforward first step. Get hold of the markup and simply cross out, delete all the CSS and all the markup that's unnecessary. So here's the first part, which is the heading of the document, the top part of the document, the head. And we have a look through here, and really all we need are these 5 lines. So let's just quick look at that. That's what it looked like originally. Now, as you can see, there's lots and lots of style information. All of that can be deleted. We just need to keep this, which is basically a doc type and our head. And we've got our title there, Faculty of Business and Law. Now, we might need to add some more bits and pieces back into this at a later point, but for the moment, that's what we need. We don't need to put anything else in here. So we've got our head, we've got our title, and we've indicated that we're using XHTML. So this is the next part, which in case is all style. So all of that can go, just delete all of that. Finally, we get to the actual main content of the page. So this is the banner that goes across the top, and that's what it looks like originally. Div id equals container, div id equals header, etc. Well, we can just replace all that with this. Image source equals, and that's the name of the image. And this site has already got, obviously it's already been pre-sized and predetermined, so that's got a height and a width. Now, you could put those in a CSS file, but we're going to compromise here a little bit. I'm just going to leave them in with the image tag, that's fine. Anyway, we've gone from all those lines down to these 2 lines. So that's the thing that goes at the top of the page. Now next, we have the menu, which is on the left side of the page, and as you recall from a few moments ago, it looks like this. It's obviously a mess, so let's clean that all out. What we end up with is basically a list of links. Now you should see each one of those corresponds to a menu item. So we've got Home, Kingston Business School, Kingston Law School, Dean's Welcome, etc. Now there's no style information here. I mean, I know that Home is dark blue and those other menu items are sort of blue on a white background, but we'll worry about that in a bit when we come to the CSS part. For the moment, all we really need is, the link and the name that sits on top of that link that people will click on to go to a particular place in the website. So we've gone from that mess to those lines. Now for the middle bit, and as I've mentioned, we've basically got a heading and 2 paragraphs. So let's take the content out and restyle it. There it is, heading and 2 paragraphs. Now the next bit is a bit more complicated because it's the table. So a bit of work required to thin out the actual content here, but we can go from here, what you can see here, which is very messy, to something that looks a bit like this. Now I've laid this out so that you can see each table row, and I've placed them vertically down so you can see each table row is about 6 lines, 6 or 7 lines. The first thing that we have is a column which contains the little icon, which is like a little pencil. So that's an image. The next column contains a link wrapped around a paragraph. So you can see the first one says Kingston Law Graduate, etc. And then there's another link at the end which says read more. Now I've laid out every single one of these in exactly the same style so that you can read it. Finally, there's a third column which indicates a date. And we've got that repeated over and over again. So we have table row over and over again, and then inside table row we've got those table data elements being repeated over and over again. Right at the top we've got latest news, which is an H2, and next to it there's an image which is of the RSS icon, and that little RSS icon is also a link. So you can see that we've got an anchor, and inside the anchor there's an image tag. Okay, so that's the middle part. Now for the column on the right, which contains a little search field and these badges. So there's the markup there, and we can strip that down so it looks like this. We haven't really done forms, so don't worry about that too much, but you can see that there's a table, and inside there's some content. That's the bit at the top, the box and the search button, and then underneath it we've got 3 images. That's it. And you can see those image tags in a kind of light blue here. So buried in there are 3 image tags, and there they are. Now the final bit is the footer, and you can see that at the bottom of the slide, and you can see that consists of a copyright symbol, a Kingston University link, a disclaimer link, and a Kingston University website link. And so we can remove all that excess content and just have the copyright symbol and those 3 links separated by the little bar symbol, which you could just about make out. And that's basically the closing part of the main part of the body of the HTML. So that's it. We strip all that content out. This is what the site looks like originally. Now we've removed all that excess content. I mean, one of the side effects of this, of course, is that now the site looks like this, which doesn't look very pretty, but at least we know that all that excess markup and style has been thrown away. Obviously, the next big step is to take that HTML document and restyle it. So we're going to add a style sheet. In fact, we're going to add lots of style sheets in our structure that will be discussed in the next part. And we will attempt to recreate this design, but using the clean markup that's shown here. So there are the 6 steps. We've basically done the first 2, and the next parts talk about parts 3 to 6.